Was the flood pure judgment, or was there mercy there too? Because most people hear this story and they feel the weight of the waters long before they ever see the ark. They see destruction, they see wrath, they see death, and then they stop reading with their hearts already closed. But if that's all you see, you won't just misunderstand the flood, you'll misunderstand God. Because this account is absolutely about judgment. But it isn't only about judgment. It is about a holy God confronting evil while preserving the future of life itself. And that means mercy isn't absent from this story. Mercy is moving through it. In the comments below, when you think of the flood, what hits you first? Judgment, mercy, or both? Welcome back to the Bible in a Year, walking the story of God. This is day 5, and I am Shawn. And we're going to walk through the Bible in chronological order so you don't just read isolated verses, you learn to live inside God's story. This episode is brought to you by my book, True Word, Faith for Life. Find it at truewordfaithforlife.com and go deeper in your walk as a follower of the way. Now, let's get after it. By the time we reach Genesis 6, humanity isn't merely struggling, humanity is unraveling. The fall is spread, sin is metastasized, violence has filled the earth, corruption is no longer private and occasional. It has become cultural, social, normal, systemic. And Genesis 6:5 gives one of the most devastating assessments in the entire Bible. Adonai saw that the people on earth were very wicked, that all the imaginings of their hearts were always of evil only. This isn't a picture of a basically healthy world with a few bad actors. That is creation collapsing under human rebellion. That is what happens when people no longer reflect the character of the God in whose image they were made. And this is where we need the Hebraic and ancient Near Eastern frame. Moses is giving this to Israel so that they'll understand the God who brought them out of Egypt. He wants them to know that Adonai is not like the pagan deities of the nations. In the wider ancient Near Eastern world, there were flood stories, but those stories often portrayed the gods, as petty, divided, irritated, and morally unstable. But in Genesis, the flood is not divine moodiness. It isn't heavenly irritation. It isn't cosmic temper tantrum. It's a moral judgment. The earth is filled with violence, ruin, and destructive corruption. That matters because the flood isn't God lashing out at inconvenience. It is God confronting what is destroying the world, His world. Now, listen carefully to what the text says next. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Did you see that? Before the first drop of wet judgment falls, grace is already in the story. Before the ark floats, mercy is already moving. Before the world is washed, God has already made a way to preserve life. That means the flood cannot honestly be read as judgment without mercy. The text itself will not let you do that. Grace appears before the rain. Mercy appears before the destruction. God is not reacting blindly. He is reacting judicially, and even in judgment, He is making a way for the future. That ark matters more than many people realize. That ark isn't a side note. It is not a lucky escape hatch. It is a theological statement. God judges corruption, but He also preserves a remnant. He confronts evil, but He doesn't surrender the future. He carries forward the possibility of renewed life. That remnant theme runs all through the Bible. It matters in Noah. It matters in Israel. It matters in the prophets. It matters in exile. And it matters all the way to Jesus, the Messiah. God repeatedly, He shows that when human rebellion threatens to consume everything, He preserves a line, a people, a future, because His purposes will not die in the floodwaters of human sin. Now, let's get a little more honest. A God who judges, who never judges evil. A God who never judges evil isn't merciful. That God, small g, is indifferent. If violence is never confronted, then the violent win. If corruption is never stopped, then corruption spreads. If wickedness is never judged, then the innocent are abandoned. That's one of the hard truths modern people don't like to face. We often want mercy defined as non-interference. We want love without holiness, patience without consequences, kindness without truth. But the Bible won't let us shrink God down like that. Real mercy sometimes requires confrontation. That hurts. Real goodness sometimes requires judgment. That hurts. And if God never judges what destroys life, then evil becomes the only mercy left standing. And that is exactly what the flood shows us. God isn't cruel because He judges what He destroys. He's good because He does. And yet, He doesn't judge as one who delights in ruin. He judges as the holy Creator whose world has been desecrated by human evil. And even then, He preserves Noah, his household, the creatures of the earth, and the future of the earth. So the flood isn't the opposite of mercy. It is judgment in which mercy is still active. It is severity with purpose. Oh, it is holiness, making room for life to continue. And then comes the covenant. This is where the story becomes even clearer. After the flood, God establishes His covenant with Noah. He sets the bow in the clouds. The rainbow is not sentimental decoration. It is covenant language. It is God binding Himself by promise. It is the Creator declaring that the waters will not again destroy all flesh in the same way. And that means the final note of the flood account isn't destruction. It is covenant stability. It's mercy. It's divine commitment to the world He made. God doesn't merely end destruction. He reestablishes moral order. He reestablishes covenant stability. Oh, the flood is severe, for sure, severe. But it doesn't end in chaos. It ends in covenant. It ends in the God of heaven saying, in effect, the future will continue because I will sustain it. Now, I want you to bring that into your life. Do so carefully. Some people call every hardship judgment. Is that you? That's a mistake. Others refuse the category of judgment altogether. That is also a mistake with eternal ramifications. Genesis won't let you live in either error. Yes, God does judge, and God is merciful. And sometimes what feels severe is actually God refusing to let deeper destruction keep growing unchecked. Sometimes the pain of interruption is mercy. Sometimes the stopping is mercy. Sometimes the exposure is mercy. Sometimes the collapse of what was corrupt is mercy. That pain, that doesn't make that pain easy. But it also doesn't mean that every hard thing in your life is direct judgment. But it does mean you have to stop using comfort and abundance as the only measure of God's goodness. Let me press that home for you. Ask yourself, have I been interpreting God through comfort and financial security alone? Have I assumed that if God loved me, He'd never confront me? Have I imagined that anything severe must automatically mean He is harsh? What if some of what I've called harshness was actually holy mercy, refusing to let my life drift further into ruin? What if correction isn't proof of God's absence, but the evidence that He hasn't abandoned me? Oh, those aren't easy questions, but they are life-changing questions. Because once you understand that judgment and mercy aren't enemies in the character of God, the Bible gets clearer, and so does your life. Here's the point. The flood isn't a story of an unstable God losing his temper. It is a story of the holy God confronting radical evil while preserving the future through grace. And that is why Noah matters. That is why the ark matters. That is why the covenant matters. And that is why this account still speaks today with such force. We live in a world that wants mercy without holiness, love without moral truth, and the God of the Bible is better than the God of our preferences. He is holy enough to judge evil. He is merciful enough to preserve our future. He is faithful enough to bind Himself by covenant promise. Oh, I have for you today, day 5, a challenge and a choice. You can keep reading the flood as proof that God is cruel. Or you can read it as proof that God will confront evil and still preserve a future through mercy. One reading hardens the heart, the other humbles it. One makes God look smaller, colder, and easier to dismiss. The other reveals Him as He is, holy, just, patient, and merciful. So choose carefully. Read this account with both holiness and mercy fully in view. Because when you do, you won't trust God less. You'll trust Him more deeply than ever before. Look, if today's episode is helping you, share it. Share it with someone who needs to rethink what the flood really means. Maybe post the link on your social media and invite all your millions of friends to walk the Bible with us. Remember, this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to bring the first 5-day summary, deepening the biggest truths we've uncovered together. You can also revisit these teachings. Follow the companion resources, truewordfaithforlife.com. Look, the flood isn't a story of God losing control. It is a story of God refusing to surrender the world to evil. It is judgment confronting corruption, and it is mercy carrying the future forward. It is holiness making room for life. It is severity wrapped around covenant purpose, and when you see that, God becomes clearer, not harsher. This has been True Word, Faith for Life with Dr. Shawn. For more free teachings, visit truewordfaithforlife.com. Until Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shalom b'shem Yeshua. Shalom alaikum.